Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of Trade Secrets. This first episode was actually filmed via Zoom back in April of 2020, I believe, during our first lockdown due to the pandemic. And we just thought it'd be a great way to kind of pass the time and do something useful with our time. On this episode, we have some special guests, my good friends Chris and Joe from Bond Street Tattoo. We also have my friend Rob Vino from Gray Harbor Tattoo in Hamilton. And helping me host this first episode is Sasha from Mothership Tattoo. So thank you to the guests for being on here and Sasha for helping me host it. And thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe. This first episode focuses on addiction and recovery. So I think it's a very special episode. Hopefully you guys get something out of it and enjoy the episode. Anyways, without further ado, Trade Secrets, episode 1. Enjoy, guys. Don't worry, I'll edit this out.
Do you have some sharp editing skills?
No, that's going to be that's going to be a learning curve. Another curve I need to flatten.
Too busy with the nunchuck skills.
Yeah. Have you been watching that Tiger King show? I know she got.
I saw parts of it. I didn't watch it from start to end. Did you?
No, I was refusing to. Can you hear us now, Chris?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you too. So I was refusing to watch it. I watched one episode.
It wasn't the Wolf King.
No, if it was the Wolf King, I'd be all over it. But
you'd be on it.
Tiger King, I didn't see the big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey guys, nice meeting everyone. Finally get to see everyone's face.
Yeah.
What's that?
This is what like. What's that?
Yeah. We're gonna have to get our timing down.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Great.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got Etsy to bed. So, timing worked out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How's it been going with homeschooling and all that?
Homeschooling.
What's homeschooling?
Yeah, he's doing good.
My kids only getting it because their mom's a teacher. Otherwise, they'd be.
Yeah.
Well, like your school is supposed to, I think the whole school board is supposed to kind of roll out like online e-learning stuff. So we've been checking every day to see if there's, that's way better. Yeah. To see if there's like anything up, but they haven't gotten anything out yet. So he's just having the time of his life, like watching TV and like, we're like going for walks to the beach and making weird food and just hanging out.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are they closing the beaches yet?
I think technically, but they can't really keep people up. So.
They're not fenced off or anything. Like you can still go on the beach. It's just
Yeah.
come down there. They might ticket you.
Taking chances.
Yeah.
No one's out though. Like no one. It's empty, completely empty.
Yeah.
So, take the dog for a run and
Yeah.
it's
I've done a few hikes on the Bruce Trail and same thing. Like it's empty. Like there's nobody there. So
yeah.
It's good.
There's signs saying it's closed, but
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys notice that everything's getting like police patrolled heavy though?
No.
I haven't seen
Really?
that.
There's so many always down around here in the falls. They're just everywhere all the time.
Really?
Yeah, because you're in the falls. They need to be.
I'm downtown, but it's you see them around just cruising.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything anyway, so whatever.
they got nothing to do right now.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Except the occasional domestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan, you get your drawing done for tomorrow?
No, never.
Last minute, eh?
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll get started.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab my water.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to do that too, but I'll do that while somebody else is talking. I guess we'll go
Hey,
around. We all know who we are, but I guess for the people who are going to watch this later, we'll let's go around and say who we are and whatever else you want to tell about yourself. So I guess I'll start since I'm the one that brought up this idea. Obviously, you guys know, but my name's Jordan, and I own Carousel Tattoo Shop. I've been tattooing for 8 years now, a little over 8 years, I think. I started my apprenticeship in 2009, and then I started tattooing full time in 2012. So, whatever that makes it.
A decade.
A decade almost, yeah, in the tattoo world, I guess, yeah.
You always got to add 2 years.
Do you?
Yeah.
I always took away 2 years.
Well, when you get older, yeah, you start taking them away.
Yeah, because I didn't want to sound overqualified, and then like the expectation is too high.
Why isn't my drawing done today?
I've been doing this 8 years, not 10.
Yeah. Talk to me when it's been 10.
Yeah. I'm still.
Well, okay. My name is Rob Vino. I'm co-owner of Gray Harbor Tattoo in Hamilton. Been tattooing for 16 years.
Veteran.
Yeah, Wiley bet.
I'm Sasha. I'm from Mothership Tattoo. I'm on the same page with Jordan. I'm 8.5 years in. Yeah, that's it. Learning, and guess I just started a little later in my life. Wish I started a lot sooner.
How old were you when you started?
29.
Okay. Yeah, same.
Yeah, it would have been nice to kind of got into it when I was young, but it just wasn't the right time, I guess. So
yeah, I would have
Invest-
developed bad habits. Is my excuse now.
What's that?
I would have developed too many bad habits if I started earlier. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to get into it late. I got into it super early. I was like 15. I did everything the wrong way, and I like seeing the people who get into it later and kind of take all the proper steps and are a little bit smarter than people who start the way I did.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm Joe. Yeah. And yeah, that makes it about 13 years that I've been tattooing. And I guess given this whole kind of interview is about addiction and recovery and that sort of stuff, I've been clean and sober since 2012.
Cool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Chris. I've got nothing to do with tattooing. I work for the Niagara Falls Fire Department. I've been there for 17 years. Clean and sober for 9 years. And I do a lot of talking about addiction, recovery, kind of across Canada. So that's sort of my side gig.
I'd say you probably have the most tattoos out of everyone here, though.
I'm the oldest. That's and probably was the dumbest when I was a kid. So, right?
Yeah.
Well, you guys were busy tattooing other people, not getting them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wasting my money. You were making money. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Cool. I guess kind of to get into it a little bit more. Whoever wants to start first or whatever, if you guys kind of want to share a bit of like your story, kind of like how you got into addiction and then how you got into recovery and that kind of stuff. However that happened or played out. Maybe Chris, since you got the most experience speaking on this, you can start us off.
Sure. So for me, I think the first time I took a drink was probably 12 or 13 years old. First time I took a drink was the first time I ended up getting drunk and actually blacked out. So I've never been able to drink or use any kind of substance like a normal person or regular person in a social way. I've always had the addictive piece of it. Um, so first time I drank, blacked out, never known how to drink any different than that. Um, so as high school went on, kind of picked up different drugs, met different people, kind of felt like I had a place amongst other heavy drinkers and users. And of course, with increased alcohol consumption came different drugs, increased frequency of like using. And by the time I was 17 or 18, um, I was using drugs intravenously and like kind of just like full blown addict at that time. Um, Moved around a whole bunch. Was out in New Zealand for a bit, down in the Caribbean for a little bit, through the States, trying to kind of outrun my problem, but was never really able to outrun it because I just brought myself with me. Think the first time I was introduced to recovery, I was 22 years old. I had been working in a factory, and a friend's father, actually somebody who used to tattoo me, his father worked there, and he had been sober for a number of years, and he kind of took me under his wing after a series of kind of bad events for me. Kind of bailed me out of a problem I had, and brought me to my first AA meeting at 22 years old. It didn't stick. Like I went into the meeting with kind of uh, a lot of judgment, and I wasn't really truly ready to stop using or drinking yet. I just wanted a break at that point, I think. But it was definitely like a seed that was planted for me. I lasted probably a month, stayed sober about a month. Back then, relapse started, like lying about it, of course. And that sort of happened for the next 10 years. I'd bounce in and out of recovery for different reasons, whether it was I was in trouble with work, in trouble with the police. I had like a partner who was upset with my drinking and using and my behavior. Whatever it was just to make it look good. I'd kind of pop into, uh, a meeting or, kind of link back up with recovery people and try to make it look good for whoever was upset with me at that point. It wasn't until 10 years later at 32 when I finally kind of hit my point of, I don't know if it's a rock bottom or whatever, but I attempted suicide a number of times, and I was kind of, I had my mind set on kind of exiting the world that way. And I don't know what happened. Something happened to me one morning, and I woke up with the intention of committing suicide. By the time the morning was over, I think I had like remembered all the times that I'd been in meetings. I had remembered all the people that were warm and welcoming and like living healthy lives in recovery. And I remembered the smiles and how happy they were. And I, at the time, couldn't figure it out why they were so happy, but kind of hit a point where it was either take my own life or change my whole life. So I won't lie, I'm a bit of a coward. So I chose to like change my whole life instead of take it. I don't think I could do that. Like I said, I'd attempted that a few times in the past, and because of the work that I do, I see a lot of those scenes, and those scenes really bother me because I've been that person so many times. So I didn't want to be. I didn't want to do it. I really didn't want to do it, but I was making kind of feeble attempts. But that morning was different for me. And anyways, everything changed. I went to the first meeting I could get to, and I think I just went in with a different mindset and a different set of eyes, ears, and definitely a different kind of headspace where I was finally able to, accept the fact that I had a real problem that I couldn't take care of myself. I had tried to quit on my own so many times through the years, and it always resulted in a relapse. And the relapse has always set me way further back than I had been when I started to stop, I guess. Anyways, I was finally, I guess, teachable. So I went into that meeting, broke down, and kind of cried in front of a room full of grown men and told them I needed help and I needed them to show me how to live my life. They did that. I listened to them. It worked. Kind of went through the steps. I did the meetings route, but I was also like doing a whole bunch of other things to kind of complement my recovery. And that's still sort of the way I do it. I don't, I'm not at a lot of meetings anymore, but I still credit Alcoholics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous with like my life. But today I do more like sponsorship stuff. I spend a lot of time working with addicts and alcoholics in the detox or in the like jails and prisons. And then I do a lot of speaking about this stuff to different emergency services because it's a big problem in my line of work. So it's somebody that's relatable to them, that's has a recovery story and that's been successful up till now, like, you know, for today. But yeah, so I just kind of try to spread a message of hope that way, and not get in anyone's face about it, but you know, try to kind of live by example.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting though to hear you say like, for me to like, I've never dealt with or struggled with addiction myself. I didn't even drink at all in high school. It wasn't until college that I started drinking, and I've never really done any drugs other than a weed a couple times in my life. So, fortunately, I've been, I haven't had to bear that kind of burden. But it was interesting to hear you say that, like, you were a coward, so like you couldn't go through it, suicide. Because I would say that's probably like from an outsider looking at you, I would think that going the route of recovery is actually the harder thing to do than to just bow out. So I would say like that takes probably more courage, like to like admit to all your friends and everything that you've been wrong forever long. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree. I probably chose the wrong word, but yeah, it is a lot harder to make the change and actually affect the change and take the action that goes along with it. Like a lot of people talk about it, and I was a big talker for a lot of years too, where I didn't, you know, I wanted to make it look like I was doing well, or even if I was dipping into like meetings here and there, I'd kind of sugarcoat it for people and make it seem like I was doing better than I really was, but I wasn't backing up my words with action. And that was the big change for the last 9 years. It's been all about action and not about, you know, the talk.
Yeah.
Do you find it gets any easier as time goes on? Like, it seems like since you're such an advocate of speaking up about all this now, like, I would almost think that's giving you so much positive energy back and more power to make impressions on people.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely gets easier. It gets easier to talk about because when you can finally own your story and own your past, and you kind of make good on the things that the wrongs that you've done in the past, and the things that the mistakes you've made. Once you start that process, you kind of take ownership of your life again, and so talking about it isn't. The stigma's gone, you know, like you're a person on the other side. So you're not the person that says, I'm an alcoholic, but I can't stop. You're like, I'm an alcoholic or an addict, and I've been through this thing, and here I am today. You know, I'm comfortable to talk about my story. And the whole point of telling my story is that it gives another alcoholic or addict, you know, something to relate to. So hopefully, and every time I listen to somebody speak about recovery, I can pick pieces of it out, like whether it's a 90-year-old woman talking about hiding bottles of wine from her husband, you know, in the bathroom, or somebody who's been living on the streets for years. I can relate to everybody's story because it's not about the It's not about the things that we do, it's about the emotions that are attached, and that's sort of the relatable piece for me, and so that's what I try to share with other people. um,
Mhm.
but to answer the question, yeah, it does get easier, but it only gets easier when you're comfortable in your own skin and you're comfortable to talk about um, your past, and you own it finally.
I think a big part of that is probably even just age. I feel like, yeah, a lot of younger people aren't ready to answer those questions or face those realities until you've made mistakes in life or have been out there a lot.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes living them too to learn them. I find, you gotta make those mistakes first, and then you get burned a couple times, and then you gotta learn from that and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think age has had a huge part in my addiction and recovery for sure. Um, 2012 I was 20, and right? Yeah, yes, I was. I just turned 20, and that's when I made the most drastic kind of positive change and stopped using drugs and alcohol. But even at 20, when I stopped, I didn't stop and start going to meetings or try to find recovery because I still had it in my mind that there were addicts and I wasn't one of those, even though like my use got as extreme as being an IV drug user for numerous years in a row. I never kind of identified with being an addict until a number of years after I actually stopped using drugs and alcohol. And I think that kind of age and getting to know myself a bit better had a huge part to play in taking ownership of um, what I was a part of, and um, the kind of like ownership of actually being an addict. And only then was I able to actually start truly recovering from it.
You mentioned that you never really identified as an addict. I think for most people, there's probably a big misconception as to what an addict is or what that entails and stuff. I think there's different kind. I mean, I'm not the expert, so I kind of want to get your guys' insight, as to what is there different types of addicts? What, in your opinion, what makes someone an addict? And that, if you guys want to kind of elaborate on that and explain it.
I think we're all addicted to something, right? Some are more destructive than others, though.
Yeah,
like
I don't
drinking.
even know. Sorry, I was going to say I don't even know what the actual definition of addict would be, but I would think it's once you have a loss of control where you don't identify with yourself anymore. It's hard to sum it up, really.
Mm-hmm.
A reliance, yeah, to be somebody that you're not, to forget about who you are. I don't know. It ties into a lot of things, really.
I think that whenever people are talking to me about do I have a problem, or I'm not sure if I do, I ask them a couple different questions, and one of them is like, can you do any controlled drinking, or using, whatever it is that their issue is, or gambling, sex, whatever it is, right? Could be any of these things. But once you start, can you responsibly stop is one thing, right? I've never known how to. I would always keep going until either what I was using was gone, and then figure out a way to get more, or my body shut down. And then I talk about, I ask people about frequency as well. So I think is with addictions to substances, there's different types of addicts or alcoholics or whatever it may be. So if you can't stop once you started, if you are doing it on a fairly regular basis, so frequency, if you're drinking every day, every night, it's obviously an issue. If you can't get through a day without having a drink or using a substance. And then the other thing I would ask is, and this doesn't always apply, but like, did you grow up around it, and is it in your family? Just because those, if you grow up around people that are heavy users or drinkers, or or alcoholics, addicts, statistically the chances of you doing that are high. But I think the main thing is the ability to stop, or the inability to stop once you've started.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Rob's point, I think we're definitely all addicted to something. I know, like a few months back, I tried to cut sugar out of my diet, like completely, and I was like, I'll do it for a month. I think I lasted like 5 days. Yeah,
how'd you feel those 5 days?
Like shit.
Yeah.
The only difference is like how it affects your life, right? So like, eating habits can be like highly addictive, but like you can function a lot like more normally through life without it really affecting relationships and stuff like that. It's definitely going to affect your health down the road negatively in the same way that drugs are alcohol.
I think it somewhat like consumes your thoughts too.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to, like you're saying, 5 days without sugar. Like you're always thinking about it even after those 5 days, right? It's always there. So
yeah, and I think trying that was the first time that, like, for me, like it made me be able to relate to like somebody with an addiction, because like I was like, if it was something else like drugs or alcohol, like this is like when you tell yourself I'm not going to do this anymore, it's like that old saying, like, all right, don't think of an elephant or a pink elephant, and that's all you can think about after someone says that, right? So did you guys find that in your recovery, that like the first part was like even harder, or were you just at the point where like you were done with it?
I think for me, I got to the point where the last time I was just done with it, and I knew, and I didn't really look back. But before all that, like, yeah, I would tell myself all the time that I would never again, right? And then you just find yourself back in the bars or doing whatever, right? But the last time, it felt like I was pretty much done with it, and I never looked back. So
You go.
I don't know what it was that flipped that switch, but it just did.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like mentally, I was done with it. I was exhausted of doing what I was doing, but like physically, the first part was awful. Like going through opiate withdrawals, and actually like having the physical part take its toll was very difficult. But I was at a point where I knew that I didn't want to continue doing the things I was doing. And I also quit smoking too, which was is like still something that like I don't want to smoke. I have no inclination to, but like if I'm around someone who is, I'll still have like urges to smoke, which is weird. Like it's not something that my head wants to do, but I still have like some, I guess, like physical urges to do it based on like the smell or whatever it is being around it. So at the beginning, physically it was more difficult, but I was like, in my head I was done. There was definitely a point where it just I didn't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah. For me, I think like it was a life or death thing for me. So that, once I made the choice, it was mentally, it was, I don't want to say it was easy, because it was very difficult, but once I kind of started to, like I mentioned before, like take action in like early recovery, that's when I started to feel that things were going to be okay. And of course, like Joe said, the physical withdrawals are awful. So the first little bit really, really sucks. There's moments of that where, there's a piece of you that thinks you might go back. But I had been through so many so many relapses in the past, and I had been at that point, like Rob talked about, where like I've had enough. Like I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I so many times had thought that this is it for me. I'm done with it, but I always kept going back. So yeah, it took sort of a life or death thing for me. And then once the physical part was over, emotions started coming back, and that was a little weird. But at that point, I had enough people around me to help me through those hurdles. And I think that can be the big thing for a lot of people. A lot of people want to get sober on their own and deal with all these new emotions and new things in recovery or sobriety that they're not used to. And if you don't have people around you who've walked that walk and who can kind of guide you through it and be your sounding board, chances of relapse are pretty high, and you're actually going to live a worse life than you were when you were drinking and using, because you don't know you have all these new emotions and you don't know how to handle them, you don't know how to react to them. So definitely having that support network around me made that early days in recovery a lot easier.
I think it's interesting too, just knowing you guys a little bit, like both like Joe, Chris, and Rob, you all seem to have like fairly active lifestyles now. Would you say that's kind of part of the recovery, or has that always kind of been a thing in your life?
Definitely. They say sometimes you kind of switch addictions, and I kind of see that as part of it. I kept active by playing lots of hockey and working out and stuff, and seemed to be better for my health than drinking. So kept doing it, and yeah.
I would assume too, to Chris's point, that like those relationships you make doing those things probably help, give you a different focus.
Yeah, there's more positive people involved in those activities, so it becomes contagious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like it's about the atmosphere and the environment in like whether you're in a gym or like for us, we're in like a fight club or a hockey team, whatever it may be. Like there's always going to be people that have a healthier mindset than the people we're sitting next to at the bar. But for me, like the only exercise I got before I quit was like running from the cops or running from somebody I owed money from. So all that was very new to me at 32 years old. So I had to I was a very, very unhealthy person up until that.
Quick on the feet.
I had to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, there's probably like when you're on addiction and stuff, there's probably a community there, but the community is everybody, I would assume, is just kind of looking out for themselves and trying to survive and get the next high or whatever.
Super selfish community. People that you call your friends when you quit, they're not really your friends anymore. I mean, some of them come back for sure, but bulk of them are just your drinking and using buddies and the people who are sitting next to you because they want something that you have.
Yeah, I've probably kept about 2 or 3 close people from those days.
Yeah.
Just the way it goes.
For sure. I think it's really but sorry, I don't mean to monopolize. I really enjoyed that part of like early recovery, kind of disappearing from all my friends and like distancing myself and seeing who kind of came back and who actually gave a shit. So, when my phone would when my phone would ring, after a month of being sober, like it was either it was either somebody trying to collect a debt or an actual friend that was worried about me. So it was a good way to do a friend inventory, I guess. The ones, there's plenty of friends that I would have said, I'd take a bullet for this guy before I quit, that have never reached out, never, they'll walk right past me if they see me. Like they were never friends. They were just, partners in crime or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, I had a number of people contact me afterwards and say, listen, out of respect for you, like, I love what you're doing. And out of respect for you, I don't want to, I don't want to give you any temptation or sort of like to invite you out to a party or the bar or anything like that. But let's meet for lunch or let's go have a coffee. And those are the friends that actually gave a shit and they wanted to keep up with me, which was great. And those are those are people that are still in my life today. But like what Rob said, like the group that stayed close to me is very, very small. And my friend group now is totally different, way more diverse, way healthier people. And like people that I can have a real conversation with that I know care about me enough to listen and hopefully, and we reciprocate that with each other. Right. So it's real friendships rather than, selfish, self-centered kind of activity around other people.
Yeah.
And conversations that you could probably remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember anything I talked about those days.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume too, like people at the gym and like hockey teammates and stuff, like you're all there to help each other, like better each other. Like hear you guys talk about that too, like the relationships. Like I was fortunate, like at an early age, like in high school, I had friends that like were really positive influences. And if like any of us started like doing something stupid, like you got called out, like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like that's dumb.
Yeah.
So like fortunately for me, like I attribute that to like not getting into a lot of the stuff that like some other people did. Like it's not, I don't think by any means that like it was my own willpower or like, I think a lot of it is circumstance based. What else you want from you guys is like, was there something that drew you to like alcohol and drugs, or like, was it just kind of like it was there and you tried it and then you were hooked?
Peer pressure. It looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up playing in bands and stuff too, like it just seemed like, and starting like tattooing just seemed like it was like a party lifestyle that kind of went with it. So yeah, it was easier to get into it that way.
Yeah. For me, probably it was just something attracted me to it. I was homeschooled until I went to high school, and had just like experimented with weed or smoking or whatever when I was younger than high school age. But once I got to high school, it was just like the floodgates opened, and I hadn't been really like around normal social situations, and I got there and had a difficult time kind of balancing like wanting to fit in with other people in high school, but at the same time wanting to stand out and kind of carve my own path. And that just led me to hanging out with other like creative kids and kind of to the crowd of people that were just doing drugs, and it seemed like a fun thing to do. And it started off as a really fun thing to do, and very quickly escalated into something that I couldn't control. So, and there's like, I'm sure like a whole bunch of other reasons why the people who end up addicted, like become that way versus people who are maybe put in the same situations and don't turn out as addicts. But that's like probably a pretty long conversation.
And for me, I think a couple things. Like Rob, I kind of grew up playing in bands and stuff like that too. So it was a lot of times you're paid in booze. So that was like just part of it. But really, like I was attracted to the chaos of it all. I really enjoyed the loss of control and the like, okay, I have no control over what I'm saying or doing right now, and I just liked the chaos. Even if it was even if it hurt me or somebody else, I kind of thrived on it. And also I was a pretty shy kid who didn't have like, I was smaller than all the other kids that were my age, and I had friends, but I don't know, it was something I felt I needed to kind of push a boundary, or push me into a certain social group. And that's what I found after the first time I got drunk. Like, I woke up and I had a ton of new friends that I never, I didn't know what I did the night before. I blacked out, but like, people wanted me to come back to their parties. So I just thought, well, drinking in excess equates to acceptance socially. So I think that for me, that's why I kept going back for more, because I thought, I finally have my place in life. Finally have my place in a group. And so I kept going back. And then, like I said, the chaos of it all was attractive to me, because I also grew up in a household that was fairly rigid, and I wanted the opposite of that. So I got that with drugs and alcohol.
Crazy listening to all of these conversations and everything that you're sharing, because I almost feel like everybody at some point in their life is going through all of this, and it's just whether or not it gets taken to that next level or that extreme. But I think it's good to hear it all. I think like everyone relates. I relate to everything I'm hearing right now. And it's pretty intense. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the questions I was going to ask you is, like, it seems like tattooing and like drug addiction and alcohol, like, there's like a large part of people that like fall into that in the tattooing crowd. But like, I think Rob touched on that basically when he just said it's the party lifestyle. And there's that image that's associated with tattooing that like it's a party and it's fun, and like you go to a convention and after you're done tattooing, you go to the bar and drink.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still all a choice too. It's like there's a lot of people that are straight edge starting in punk bands or tattoo industry and stuff too. Then there's the people like Chris was saying that just like the chaos of it all, and they kind of blame the stereotype on what we're supposed to be. And
yeah. And it's, if let's say you're not a tattooer who goes to conventions and you're an addict or an alcoholic, let's say you own a tattoo shop, you can make your own hours. You can, cancel on or keep your clients based on whether or not you wake up that day. If you like an atmosphere where you have to smoke weed or do a line to get through the day, you can create that atmosphere for yourself. You can create your own little bubble in your shop or your work environment that can take away a lot of the hurdles that you would go through if you were like drinking or using in a different job that might have more like strict boundaries or like someone overseeing you. Obviously, like lots of shops have great boundaries and great atmospheres, and I think a little bit of a higher standard these days. Like, there's so many well-run, clean, professional shops that a lot of that behavior isn't tolerated. But if you're someone who is an addict and isn't willing to get out of it and is still tattooing, it's super easy to make your own work environment something that will work alongside your addiction to a point. Not forever, but I see it happen with a lot of people where they kind of like just scrape by because of how lax some of the environments can be, just in terms of like scheduling your own clients, maybe not having that like I said before, having someone to kind of like create that rigidity or structure around you.
Not having to have your drawings ready the next morning.
Exactly. What are you doing?
Well, that's where you get good at it.
Yeah.
That's where we got that happening from. I think I should have charged my phone before I did this.
If you give us the Irish goodbye, we'll know what happened. Or that's
With the Irish goodbye, what? I gotta go to the bathroom.
Or if your phone dies. You mentioned earlier too, Chris. Obviously, you're not a tattoo artist, but you said that as a firefighter, that's like kind of an issue there as well.
Yeah.
Because of the job, or is it something? Obviously, you carried it into the job, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, but do you want?
No. I definitely carried it into the job, and the job kind of exacerbated. Thank you.
There you go.
Did that to it.
Masturbators?
Yes, at work.
You too?
Yeah, of course. No, but like for sure, I was an addict and an alcoholic before I got on the job. But the things that I saw definitely added to my my mental health issues, as well as like, I mean, like it's a very still male dominated profession, and most of the people that do it are like I kind of call them like caveman. Like they're everyone's sort of like behind the times a little bit, and they still think that it's like a real badge of honor to be able to like outdrink all the guys on your shift or whatever. So there's a big drinking culture around the off time. So, you know, we might do a string of shifts together, and then everybody goes out to the bar on that last night, and it's like, you know, an absolute shit show, and everybody's trying to outdo one another. But also what a lot of people are doing, and what I did too, is kind of try to drink away, or whatever substance they're using, drink away what they saw at work. So like, you know, we got to go to a lot of pretty horrific scenes, and they affect people in different ways. So a lot of times you're almost trying to wash what you've seen away with, you know, a number of drinks. But like I said, the culture is changing for sure in the fire department, but it's still a very like kind of sad, but it's still kind of like a like kind of macho. I don't know. Like I keep saying caveman. It's just like a caveman world where everybody, you know, everybody's just you know, it's a competition. Who has the least amount of fear? Who has, you know, who can outdrink each other? Who can, you know, you're applauded for being able to you know, you're not applauded for being an alcoholic. You're applauded for being a heavy drinker or being able to handle it. So I think that kind of breeds a lot of alcoholics, because when we're with the guys, like for me, when I'd go out with the guys, when I could socialize with them, I'd try and make it look good while I was with them. And some people might not have noticed that I had a problem, but it was what I did after I left the bar with the firefighters, and they didn't see the houses that I was going to afterwards and the places I was stopping in for the next 4 days. So, you know, a lot of that, like there was a lot of, there's a lot of like shame, and, you know, if you're an addict or an alcoholic, you're kind of viewed as weak, still in those circles. And, so asking for help is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I answered your question and kind of made up a little thing of my own too.
Yeah. You answered my next question too, so now I got nothing.
Okay. What was the question? The next one?
What did everybody have for dinner?
I had fish.
No sugar?
No sugar. There was probably sugar in it. Yeah, there's sugar in everything. That's the hard part.
What was the side?
Rice. And I'm like a white rice person. I don't like anything on rice, just white rice. And then carrots.
Basmati?
There's definitely sugar in the carrots though. Butter and sugar.
Oh.
What'd you
Right
have
on.
for dinner, Rob?
What's that?
I said, what'd you have for dinner?
Buffalo chicken sandwich.
Nice.
That's it.
Homemade,
Yeah.
ordered it.
Well, can't go out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess takeout's kind of like faux pas now too, eh?
Yeah,
I
pretty
don't know
much.
what's going on.
I
Yeah, I
think-
think we're closed.
I think with everybody home, there's no excuses to be eating out now. Well, Chris, you're still working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still considered essential.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Can't just let shit burn out.
What's that?
You can't just let shit burn out on its own.
I mean, we could, but it probably wouldn't pay us.
It'll rain soon.
Yeah, true.
I'm just gonna check my list of questions, see if I have anything else that's interesting. Otherwise, we can probably wrap it up.
Didn't I see something about like something to do with the whole isolation stuff?
Is laser tag considered non-essential?
I think that's pretty essential.
My 6-year-old would agree.
Yeah, it's funny, actually right before like the weekend everything shut down. My son was supposed to go to a birthday party for laser tag.
No way.
It was like right around the same time we were discussing whether we should reschedule the fundraiser. And
Mhm.
so, like,
Yeah.
right after that, we made that decision. I had the conversation. I'd had the conversation with my wife, and we had to decide that, like, well, if we're not doing this, then he probably shouldn't be going to play laser tag.
Yeah, so I had Ezzy enrolled in like camp at Sky Zone for March break.
Yeah.
And I assumed they would cancel it after kind of everything got announced or whatever. And I pulled them out, but they were still running the camp. They still ran the camp for the March break.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is there an update on the fundraiser? I guess when we're allowed to tattoo, you guys are gonna reschedule it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, right now everything's up in the air because nobody knows when we're going back to work, and so yeah, once we all go back to work, then we'll talk to the warehouse and set a new date. So
They held the venue and everything for you guys?
yeah, like they seem pretty open to rescheduling the band as well and stuff. So I think everybody's at this point.
Well, I got my flash sheet ready.
Yeah.
Had some time.
I
You
actually
still don't have it?
I was gonna say I still don't, but I do. Yeah.
I'll have it the night before.
I'm just freehanding on people the day of. Yeah. I just looked it up. Yeah, Chris. Basically, I was just gonna say, like, it seems like right now with like a lot of the uncertainty and like the future and stuff like that, like with COVID-19 and all that. A lot of people, I'm sure, are struggling with anxiety and stuff. Like, do you find any parallels with that and like addiction or recovery and like trying to work through the anxiety and the unknown and uncertainty? If that makes any sense, that question?
What? Ask that question again.
Like,
Yeah.
like I'm sure everybody's dealing with their own kind of level of anxiety based on what's going on in the world right now. Do you think there's anything from your addiction recovery that like has sort of a kind of parallel to help dealing with stuff like that, like anxiety and fear and stuff like that, or is it like something completely different?
I think it's there's some similarities. Like we have a lot of idle time on our hands now, and that was, I mean, just speaking from my own experience, that's when recovery got difficult for me. Is when I had done everything that I had to do for the day, and I was alone with me and my thoughts. So I think right now with people not being able to go to work, not being able to go to their gym and have their outlet of stress, or is he gone? Not being able to have their stress outlet, see their friends, their family, whatever it may be. I mean, there's a lot of time to kind of be in your own head about life and sort of yourself. And so that for me, that would be the parallel that I would draw. When in addiction, you spend a lot of time in your own head and a lot of time alone, or at least I did. And that was my own headspace was my hell. So I hope that nobody's really going through anything like that with this isolation, but
I'm sure a lot of people are.
Yeah, what I worry about is people who are who don't have like contact, like maybe people who are in recovery or who are in early recovery and haven't really set up a solid network of people to talk to, and they don't really know how to function in their day-to-day yet. So now they've got all this time on their hands and they're alone in their house. I worry about those people. So I know that they're doing a lot of online meetings right now. They have a lot of chat groups with for people to just pop in and stuff like this, where you can actually have a conversation with other addicts or alcoholics that may be able to kind of guide you through and help you. But I worry about that for sure during this time where people are alone and in their own heads too much. That's when things kind of get dicey.
How were they doing AA meetings right now? Are they just doing it like this?
Yeah. From what I understand, I haven't checked in on any, but just friends of mine have told me that they're doing it either Skype or Zoom, whatever it may be. But and that's great to have like the kind of live, like one-on-one, where you can ask questions and everything like that. But there's also plenty of resources on the internet if you want to listen to a speaker or a story about recovery. There's plenty on there, like stuff that's pre-recorded that you can listen to that's just as good as going to a meeting. Just a piece of relatability, as well as like books, like there's a billion books about like how to change your life and how to better yourself and all this like sort of self-help stuff. I think it's good for people to have some of that stuff in the house as well if things get kind of they start having questions or getting too caught up in their own headspace.
Yeah, I know, like even just for my own sanity, like I'm married, so just having my family with me has helped me like get through. Right, it keeps you busy, it keeps your mind from an idle mind is when you start thinking dark thoughts. And it's
For
funny,
sure.
as someone who hasn't struggled with addiction, like before this all started, I was like, oh, I should go grab some alcohol. I'm gonna have a lot of time to kill, so I should go grab some beer. And it's funny, like I've actually found myself drinking. Like I never drank a lot before, like maybe one or two every other night or whatever. But yeah, since this whole thing, I'm like, most nights, like my wife would be like, do you want to drink? And I'll be like, actually, no. So.
Oh, really?
I think definitely for someone who's alone, it might be different like that. If I was alone, I'd be like, just out of boredom, it would be, difficult not to do like bad habits and be lazy.
Oh, Bob Ross is back on Netflix. He'll keep you company.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. But for sure, it's great to stay busy and to have like family and like Joe and I are fortunate that we have another person in recovery under the same roof. So like a lot of times and probably I should go to more meetings than I do, and I should kind of like check in on one of these AA meetings online or whatever. But like her and I having a conversation every night is just as good as having a meeting, because we're both like living a good life in recovery. So we can speak openly and honestly about the things that we're going through and help each other through that. So that's a huge thing I know for me.
Yeah,
for her.
For sure, for me too. And I was going to add as well, kind of that sorry, sometimes I suck at talking. But one of the parallels from, I guess, all this COVID-19 stuff and something I've learned from going through recovery is that it's really important to stay connected with other people. And a lot of people are finding that hard to do in this isolation. And I think it's important also to separate like real connection from like a post on social media and interaction there, or a text message. I think the difference, texting and whatever is great and it's a good way to connect, but even better is a phone call or a FaceTime, one-on-one with someone where you can actually have a like full conversation. I've used a bit of this time to like call my parents more. It seems cheesy or whatever, but it's nice to actually have the time to have those conversations. And I think we both had days during like this whole isolation thing where we go stir crazy, don't feel great about, everything that's going on, and talking about it is super important. Same with in addiction recovery, you have to talk about it, connect with other people, make those real connections, not just keep your thoughts to yourself. I think that's a helpful parallel.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the point of that taking action rather than just like, it's great to read an inspirational post or like something that makes you feel good, but if you're not taking the action, like if you're not picking up the phone and calling somebody, if you're not talking about what is going on in your own mind and like some things that might be hard to talk about, like you're not doing the action, you're just sitting idle, you're not moving forward. So even with us not being able to have like close contact with people, there's still plenty of options, and there's still it should be no excuse for people to fall back in their recovery or addiction. I still think that there's plenty out there. It just takes a little initiative from the person and to like take some action.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best time ever for like something like this to happen to any of us, and especially like people, that are struggling with addiction or anxiety, and I think because we have technology that allows us to do what we're doing right now. And to Joe's point, like sending, like if I'm texting you, chances are I'm doing something else at the same time. Whereas if I actually like have to make a phone call or like do a video call, like then I'm reserving, like I'm putting down what I'm doing and actually taking the time to focus 100% of my focus on that person rather than just, I'll text them while I'm doing this, and it's kind of like a half-assed connection.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of even like me, sometimes I'll just kind of rely on the social media contact and count that as actual interaction, and feel like I'm getting by. And then, a week goes past and I feel like I'm missing something, and I have to make an actual effort to like connect with the people who mean something to me, talk about what I'm feeling, not just kind of feel like I'm getting that from like surfing Instagram or reading the news or whatever it may be. Making a real point to actually connect with people and spend that like pay attention to what I'm doing. Same with when I'm with Ezzy. So we're together 24/7 now. Obviously he can't have my attention 100% of the time, but taking little times throughout the day where he does have 100% of my attention helps kind of make the day easier for him, and it helps me kind of feel fulfilled that I've given him that one-on-one attention and time and thought and like quality time, not just kind of like me cleaning and like paying attention to him at the same time.
You guys, I think my phone's gonna die soon.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to bed.
Yeah.
We got 4%, and the charger doesn't reach far enough.
It's at 40%, but Rob's like, I'm done. Peace.
Yeah.
It's bedtime.
He's got drawings to do for tomorrow. I was going to suggest like one kind of final question to wrap it up, unless Sasha, you have anything else you want to add?
My questions were answered, and I'm terrible at speaking sometimes, so I'm just listening lots. Yeah.
Basically, the last thing I was going to ask you guys, if someone is struggling with addiction or anything, what would be your advice as kind of like a first steps in order to get help or start that road to recovery?
You guys go.
You'll answer it the best.
No.
I'd probably tell somebody. Chances are you're probably balling it up, and you're keeping it to yourself. So if you could tell somebody, I mean, that's usually step one, and then take it from there. Usually somebody that's already been through it could kind of guide you where to go. And I think that's how it starts for most people.
For sure. Yeah, reach out, say that you need help, admit that you have a problem, talk to someone that you can trust with it.
And to realize that you're not alone in the problem, that, you know, you've got, a world of support around you if you ask for the help, but it's not going to come to you if you don't ask. So, you know, you got to be instrumental in speaking up and saying, like, the hardest thing to do is say, like, I have a problem and I need help, or I can't manage my own life and I need you to show me how to do that. Our egos don't really like to, let that guard down. But to let people know, that plenty of people have been there before. We've all had to make that step. We've all had to, be desperate and ask for help. And I think that's the best time in recovery. Like everybody says, always like stay desperate, because that's when you're the most teachable and you can learn the most. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like I always tell people that they're much more alone in active addiction than they ever will be in like an active recovery. And it's hard to see before you kind of cross that threshold. But when you're in active addiction, you don't truly believe that people live any other way. So you kind of have to like suck it up, say I need help, be willing to change, and like kind of shut up, listen, and do the actions.
Cool. Well, I'm going to hit you guys up for some sugar-free meal plans.
Yeah.
I'll mail you some of that.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Do you have a problem?
Jordan?
Yeah.
This is what we just said. Put sugar on that fish.
I'm on the road to diabetes, and
Yeah.
no, but seriously, I just want to thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you.
Kind of an experiment, but I appreciate all your guys' input and advice and your valuable time right now. I know we all got busy lives right now and nothing to do. Well, Chris has to work. So, yeah,
But you know my work schedule though.
Yeah.
I don't really have to work.
But yeah, so, and as long as you guys are cool, I'll probably throw out everybody's Instagram handle on here. So I'm sure if anybody is struggling, wants to reach out, any one of us, I'm sure, would be willing to talk to anybody.
Absolutely.
For sure. And if there's any questions that and I'm sure it goes for all of us, but like for sure for me, if anybody wants to like reach out with any questions or concerns, if I don't have the answer, I can definitely put you in touch with somebody that will, or that might be more suited to answer those questions for that individual. Not everybody recovers the same, and not everybody responds well to the same type of guidance or support. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I guess that's it.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
You can go charge your phone, Rob.
Thank you.
1%. No.
Just in time.
Okay. See ya.
All right. See you. Rob.
See you guys.
See you guys.
The awkward goodbye.
Oh yeah. No, you hang
You
up.
hang up.
You hang up.
I don't.
That's